In this video, I am going to explain the Farmers' Bills, cover the biggest protest in the history of mankind, and provide you with my opinion. This is my first video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Just a quick introduction. On September 14th, 2020, three bills were presented in the lower house of the parliament called Lok Sabha, which were passed on September 17th and were passed through the upper house called Rajya Sabha on September 20th, 2020, and became the knee directive laws around farmers in India. Just an FYI, Lok Sabha consists of members of the parliament or MP, and Rajya Sabha consists of elected members or of state assembly. Moving over to the explanation. In this section, we will cover the bills itself and look at it from both the farmers and the government perspective. While discussing the bills, we will go over the changes they are bringing and how it would affect the farming and agriculture scene in India. First, we have the Farmers' Agreement, Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill of 2020. This bill allows farmers to trade their produce outside of local market yards, market committees, or mandis, which were regulated by APMC Act previously. So technically, a farmer could trade his or her produce anywhere inside or outside of their farm. This bill also prohibits state government from imposing any levy or fee on farmers, traders, or electronic trading platforms for the trades that are conducted outside of the regular trade areas. This ordinance also allows electronic trading of the crops, produce, or livestock. So, what has changed compared to the past? A farmer, instead of taking their crop to the government and selling it on a price decided by the government, would get in an agreement with another individual or corporate at a pre-decided price. This trading individual or corporate could help the farmer with the inputs like farming equipment, fertilizers, or capital loans. To resolve any disputes, government has introduced a legal framework where the farmer and trader would add conciliation terms in the agreement. They would assign a conciliation board like a jury, which would have members from both parties, and if the dispute is still not resolved, then they could take it to their subdivisional magistrate, or SDM. How does this affect farmers' lives now? Now farmers, instead of going to their local APMC, would have corporates reaching out to them, and prices would be decided through electronic trading platforms. This is not something new, as most of the produce is already trading on commodities markets like NCDEX, and the government was previously referring to same while compensating farmers for their produce. In these new contracts, corporates would obviously expect certain level of quality and include the terms around a base price and additional price and link it to the terms of delivery. In order for the farmer to protect themselves, they would need to go through the legal system or have insurances in place. Next, we move on to the Farmers' Produce, Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill of 2020. This ordinance allows intrastate and interstate trade of produce beyond APMC markets or mandis, and state government is prohibited from levying any market fee, seed, or levy outside of APMC mandis. How does this change and affect lives of farmers? Well, a farmer now, rather than going to their local market, could look up online and find different markets where they could get the best price for their produce. A farmer would now be able to sell their crops from Punjab to a trader in West Bengal without paying the fees to the state government and have more money in own pocket. Next, we move on to the Essential Commodities Ordinance of 2020, which is an amendment to the Essential Commodities Act of 1955. This bill would empower central or federal government to designate certain commodities like food, items, fertilizers, etc. as essentials. Government could decide to prohibit production, supply, distribution, or trade of these commodities only in certain conditions like war, famine, extraordinary price rates, or natural calamity. This ordinance also allows government to impose stick limit of these essentials based on the price rise. Government can use this bill to lower the price of horticulture produce if their price has increased by 100% in 12 months or 50% for perishable items. This bill would benefit common man as it would curb malpractices like hoarding or unfair price increases due to artificial demand. These three bills were not very well received by farmers across the country, and both parties have different opinion on these. Farmers are afraid that they are losing the minimum support payment or MSP. Government is scrapping their place of trade and corporates could take advantage of the agreements and they will not have means to deal with the legal disputes. In government's opinion, FCI, or Food Corporation of India, which was previously buying the produce from farmers and subsidizing the prices to the public, was costing money to the government. At the same time of central government losing money on produce and not receiving any taxes on it, the state government was adopting some corrupt practices by being the middleman and charging certain fees to both parties. Government believes that these bills would help them make the trade of produce and livestock more fair, and market factors like demand and supply would make the prices fair for farmers and consumers. These opposite opinions have led to protests, not just in India, but across the world, and the worst part is that we are witnessing a lot of police brutality, where police has tried to stop these protesters by barricading water guns and tear gas. What is the future scope of these bills now? About 38 different farmer unions are in talks with the central government and presented their demands. These representatives are trying to explain to government that farmers do not want to lose on minimum support price, the trade marketplaces, and fear that the corporates would hog their lands. The government has assured farmers that there would be a minimum support price. However, government is just relying on base price from corporates and the market forces of supply and demand to decide on prices. They are also assuring farmers that corporates cannot claim on a farmer's land in any case and would open trade, would make it fair for everyone. Finally, I would like to present my opinion. First of all, we need to understand what is wrong with all of this. These farmers do not need to be met with police brutality, as they have the right to protest peacefully, and this cruelty is exploiting their human rights. Next, we have these fake politicians who have passed these bills and are now trying to sympathize with farmers to get a head start in the next elections. The other political agendas that are being presented aren't right either. Having extremists demanding a separate sovereign for Punjab is not going to help anyone, and specifically Punjab's economy, because if separated India could just impose a lot of duties on Punjab, and they might not be able to recover from economic tragedy considering the existing state debt. At the end, no one is following social distancing. We are not out of pandemic yet, and having millions of people gathering is being a breeding ground for coronavirus cases in these masses. The benefit of these bills are that market forces of supply and demand would decide the prices of the produce or these new commodities, and it would benefit farmers, traders, and common man. Government would have opportunity to intervene with prices of if they witness any malpractices like hoarding to create artificial demand or in cases of war and disasters. There would also be more control on the corruption from state government, as they would not be able to impose their levies anymore on farmers or the Food Corporation of India. The bad about these bills is that government is relying on market forces too much, and farmers might end up with less money without any minimum support price. Also, the control guidelines on corporates are not very well defined, and corporates could just discount quality and try to rip off a farmer. In my opinion, in order to solve the dispute, some amendments need to be introduced. Introduction of a guaranteed income or a supplement in form of social security to farmers would alleviate their fears about minimum support price. An average farmer in India owns less than 1 hectare of land and reports an income of 40,000 rupees or $700 only. Government needs to assure them at least their existing levels of income, as in if the farmer is in a shortfall after selling their produce, then government should guarantee to pay the difference. Government also needs to introduce some strict guidelines for traders where they are forced to visit and certify the quality control while they're in contract with a farmer to avoid any disputes in future regarding quality and delivery. And at the end, government could act as a guarantor for first 3 years while everyone in economy is learning about the new processes. This would help farmers have better understanding of the process and government could still impose minimum support price given the conditions are met and channel or handle the payments from traders in this introductory period. Thank you for watching Hustle Hawk. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I would love to know your opinion about this. Thank you.